Welcome to the Peace Over Pain podcast with Dr. Kevin Reese, where we examine the body as a whole unit and move people from health burdens to health miracles. So get your questions ready, because the show starts now.
Welcome to the Peace Over Pain podcast. I'm your host, Joe LaChance, and I'm here with the author of Peace Over Pain, Dr. Kevin W. Reese. Welcome, Dr. Reese, and how are you today?
I'm all right. We had 2 weeks off.
Yes.
I finally got caught by the COVID.
Oh, we'll talk about that. But before we get started, I wanted to remind people that we will be taking questions during this broadcast. So please, if you have a question for Dr. Reese, leave it in the comments in the box below the podcast. So you had COVID, huh?
Finally got it, man. I think I may have had it a few times during the pandemic, and my body just fought it off. But this time, new variant or whatever, and yeah, it was. I think my body did a pretty darn good job, but it was 2 days of fever, flu-like symptoms, crazy headache, and then that went away. And then it became 2 days of throat. I've never experienced throat like this before. Even just drinking water hurt. It was like paper cuts. It was like vinegar on paper cuts.
Oof.
And wow. I enjoyed every second of it. I use it as an opportunity to better myself with mindfulness. But the thing that did suck about it is I had to cancel the November 5th event that we had been planning for so long. So that's now going to be December 10th.
Right.
But, things happen for a reason, as they say. And they say when you plan, God laughs, right?
That's right. Man plans, God laughs. Very, very true. And again, you got to say, maybe it was meant to be that way,
Yeah, because we just opened, and we'll talk about this in future episodes, but we just opened the physical version of the Peace Over Pain Clinic in Farmington, in the same place the event's going to be. So now we have a whole month to kind of organize it a little better.
Yeah. Good time. It's a good time. And I think it'll work out just fine. And as apparently you have more people signed up for this event than you did the last one. So,
and I have a cough. It won't go away. So it's like this little cough that just, every time I eat or talk a lot, I want to cough. So,
oh, wow.
We'll see.
Now, let me ask you a question. When you had the COVID, did you do anything extra besides just your regular 90 nutrients and whatever other extras you take?
Yeah. So I have this immune system pack, and I forgot about it because I bought it over a year ago. So it just slipped my mind. So I didn't start taking it until the throat kicked in. But yeah, it's extra zinc, extra vitamin C, extra nutrients meant for when you're sick.
So you took that. That probably helped. And how long was the recovery, would you say? Because you were down for 2 weeks off the podcast, but how long would you say was your actual recovery from COVID? Because I know I spoke to you and your throat was terrible.
Yeah. It was 4 days.
4 days of actual, and then maybe a little lingering after.
And then a week of fatigue, on and off fatigue. And then now it's just a cough. It's just this lingering cough.
Right.
But I'm fine. Everything else is fine.
That's great. That's great. So we're looking forward to that event. That'll be a great deal. So today we have an episode of listener questions. And we got quite a few, obviously, because we were off and people were still sending in questions. And I know you still made some content while you were gone. But so let's get into that. So this one is coming from Nicole Hayden. And she sent this through email, and she would like to know, how do you get rid of joint pain all over? So like all her joints ache. I think we did an episode on this.
Well, if you have joint pain all over, first we have to address the nutrients and your nutritional deficiency and figure out what's going on with the soft tissue and the hard tissue. Then we got to look at your P rays and look at your posture. There's 8 load joints. There's the ankles, there's the knees, there's the hips, and then there's the shoulders. And these joints are holding all of our vertical load, gravity, you know?
Mhm.
So we have to make sure that they're all in alignment. And once we put them in alignment, plus slip the nutrients in, the joint pain goes away.
Right. A lot of that is due to inflammation, right? And the nutrients will help reduce that inflammation.
Some of it is inflammation, but you know, it's coming from diet, but it's also coming from misalignment.
Right.
So it's both.
It's a combination of both.
Yeah, it's a combo. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
it's a simple correction. It's not something you have to live with.
right. So like, is there a standard protocol for joint pain, or do you have to take everybody individually? Obviously, depending on which joints it is, would be the postural therapy end, but I'm talking more on the nutrient end. Is there any certain deficiencies that you find more common with people who complain of joint pain?
Yeah, absolutely. It's typically in the hard tissue
Right.
category. So you're talking calcium, magnesium, stuff like that. But we don't want to get too deep into that because people will run the CVS and look for
And get the cheap
extra.
stuff.
Yeah, you need 90. You need
You need
90.
the base of the 90, and then whatever you're deficient in,
Yeah.
you
Mhm.
you add that to your protocol, correct?
Yeah. And then the postural therapy is gonna, take that joint pain away as we get the muscles more functional and everything.
Right. Very, very good. So it is possible. There is hope.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we use the word hope because it fits into our
Common.
language.
Right.
But this is it's a no-brainer. It's
Right.
Michael
No,
Jordan at the free throw line.
you just got to believe that it can happen, that it's possible. A lot of people are so stuck in the medical monopoly, and that you have to live with this stuff and take medicines for it. When the truth of the matter is, if you really believe it can work, and if you stick to it. Yeah, that's the key to all of this stuff. All right. So Lori Parker on Facebook, and she's responding to the event on December 10th. She says, will you discuss TBI injury and blood sugar dysregulation, drops of blood sugar? That's a new one on me. I don't know what that is. Hopefully you do.
So
what is TBI, first of all?
it's a traumatic brain injury.
Okay.
And to answer her question directly, yeah, December 10th, there'll be a second microphone so anyone can come up and anyone can tell me their symptoms and we can go over that live in front of everyone.
Right.
Yeah, a brain injury can absolutely be healed up. I would have to see her posture. I would have to see her cervical spine, because that's where the lymphatic is going to drain from.
Right.
And we see this a lot in football and boxing with the CTE.
Right.
They get the brain injuries, the concussions, and a lot of them have the forward head, and so they're just not draining properly. You would heal faster if you were draining properly.
Right. And are there any nutrients? Let's say they have a bruise on their brain or concussion. Is there any nutrients that can also help expedite the healing process?
Absolutely. The brain is an organ, so it's soft tissue. So we would feed the brain the nutrients that it needs. Absolutely.
Right. Now, what do you think, Kevin? I've been seeing a lot of these brain nutrients that are being advertised out there. I know one is Joe Rogan pushes the alpha brain, and there's things like ginkgo biloba and lion's mane, and that seems to be a big thing among the self-development community, especially the ones that are into really fitness and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What do you think about that trend? And are those nutrients of value? Because they seem to be outside of the 90.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? They're added extra nutrients. What do you think of the efficacy of that? And is that something people should look into, or just make sure they don't overdo it?
I think they're great. We have one in our dispensary as well. You definitely need the 90 essential is the baseline, and then we need the extras on top for things that we need extra help in. So yeah, I think these supplements are great. That alpha stuff that Rogan pushes is great. I mean, they're all the
I've taken
same.
it.
Yeah, they're all the same. It's just a matter of where they're sourcing it from.
Right.
So
I
you don't
noticed
know.
there's a lot of aminos in them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we put a lot of aminos in our 90 essential nutrients. So
Right.
absolutely.
So they are of value. That's a good thing. Just make sure you know where you're getting them from. I know they sell some cheap ones at CVS too, but you're better off buying the higher quality.
Right.
Very, very good. And that can help with a concussion. That can help after a traumatic brain injury, get your brain moving a little bit better and getting the circulation going, like you said.
Absolutely. And then eggs.
Eggs are great. Yeah.
Yeah, eggs are brain food, straight up brain food. And I just had a Zoom call with Lucy yesterday, one of our clients, and
Yeah.
she's amazed at how her brain has improved, and she's shocked that it's from a lot of it is from eating 4 eggs a day. I have her eating 4 eggs a day. So,
Oh, wow.
and even bigger injuries would be 8 to 10 eggs a day.
People don't understand, right? Sometimes you have to do it in those quantities in order to make up for deficiencies and in order to keep it going.
Yeah, eggs are a miracle.
And they used to get such a bad rap, cholesterol. It turns out they're one of the best foods for you.
They absolutely are. And they're easy to make, quick to make. They're delicious.
Yeah.
You just can't overcook them.
No, that's true. I eat hard-boiled eggs constantly. So that's my favorite way to have them.
Yeah.
All right. So this question comes from Trish Kelly, and this is in response to the December 10th event. So she was hoping this was a Facebook event, I guess. So she says, so this isn't a Facebook event? I sure wish I could see you in person.
Well, I'm here every Saturday morning.
That's
in person. We're live. So come on into the Facebook group and come hang out with us every Saturday morning.
And again, I think we will be broadcasting the event after, not live, but
probably a month later.
Post-produced after the event.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing: the more support you get, you may go on tour, and she'll get to see you in person.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we will see, but you never know what the future holds. So
yeah,
and she can always hop a flight.
Yeah, come on over.
That's right. Exactly.
304 Main Street, Farmington, Connecticut.
Okay. And you can find more about that at peaceoverpain.com. Okay. So this is another comment from Patricia Ann on Facebook. Now, this is a nice one. It says, good morning. God blessed the day you were born and has raised you up with such an important message. You've taught me so much in the short time I know you. Have a great day. Now, is this somebody you've connected with personally, through Messenger or whatever, or
What's
is
the
this
name again?
Patricia Ann?
Doesn't ring a bell, but I mean, people come in and out, and sometimes it's hard to keep track of everyone. But you know, things seem to be impacting. So
Yes.
I'm pleased with that, and just getting the message out and
It's
having
little by
people,
little, Kevin.
yeah,
Like they
little by little,
say, little by little, a little becomes a lot.
yeah,
And the more people we can get out there and reach, the more people whose minds we can open up to the fact that they actually can take charge of not only their healing, but their whole lives in general,
right,
and kind of break free of the medical monopoly, break free of the matrix, whatever you want to call it. The more people we can reach, the better of a society that we're going to have, a more self-sufficient, a more self-reliant, a more
yeah,
self-thinking society that isn't so brainwashed and programmed by, like we say, the medical monopoly. And so, that's our mission. Just reach as many people as possible. And so thank you very much, Patricia Ann.
hmm,
Thank you. Okay, Lori on IG. This is in response to a video on unidentifying with emotions. So it says, good stuff. How do we heal from guilt and shame from the past?
hmm. Well, the first thing to understand is that the past is a graveyard.
That's true.
It doesn't exist. Once you come to that realization, things become quite a bit easier. But we do carry around repressed feelings and trauma. And we talked about this a few episodes ago about TMS, the mind-body syndrome, and it can
Right.
cause pain in the body. So we want to have catharsis. We want it to come up. We want it to leave. And so shame is not real. It's not real. It's just your mind coming up with a excuse that you did something negative. It's almost,
Right.
it's like, guilt and shame are cousins. They're like almost the same thing. It's just a feeling of the past. Like you did something wrong.
Right.
This is just programming. This
Or
is
you were told you had done something wrong by your parents or the church or whatever.
yeah, priests are known for that, right? The Catholic Church is known for that.
For shaming people, making people
Yeah.
feel guilty
Yeah.
for even their thoughts in their head. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, and this is something, what would you say is a good process to use to start letting stuff like this go?
Well, I'm a big advocate of Ho'oponopono.
Right.
That certainly would detox you. Just mindfulness in general. There's cognitive behavior therapy. You could find a therapist that's trained in that. Certainly doing our program, the 120-day program, it will happen in there.
Right. Right.
You'll face your fears and face all of that. But, shame, like shame. I mean, there's people that have robbed banks and killed people and, done all sorts of so-called bad stuff who don't have shame.
Have no shame.
Right.
That's what allows them to do that. You know what I mean? They can do things without a guilty conscience.
Right.
I heard I once heard somebody, I think it was Louise Hay, said that guilt is the most useless emotion that we have. But
it's a powerful emotion too.
I also think, depending on how you use guilt, it can prevent, and she's talking about guilt from the past.
Right.
I'm talking about using guilt as a way to curb your behavior.
Hmm.
Do you understand? So if you think of something that you might want to do, sometimes, and it might not be good for you and it might not be good for somebody else. You know what I mean? When you're in one of those negative moods and maybe you want to lash out at somebody or do something that's, you know, I don't want to say violent, but in anger. Sometimes if you have guilt and you can think of the feelings that are going to happen after you do that, it'll prevent you from actually doing it. You
Are you
know what I'm
talking about
saying?
kind of the apology too? Like maybe you lash out at someone and the next day you call them up like, hey man, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
Right. Things like that.
Yeah.
So guilt can be a positive way, but not past guilt for what you've done.
Yeah. If you
So
did
I
something
think,
5 years ago and you're still holding on to it, that's a problem.
right. And one way, of course, they use this in the 12-step program a lot is if you do have guilt, it may just not be something that you have to let go of in your mind. You actually may have to go speak to that person.
Yeah.
Or
Make
send them
amends.
a letter, make amends,
Yeah.
clear your conscience. And, you know, that may have to be a part of the process. It's not easy. I did it myself because I mean, I think I've been pretty transparent here that I went through that program. And one thing I did learn from, and it's one of the things that stuck with me, like you said, if you do something, and this is one of the steps that you feel ashamed of or guilty of, you apologize for it right away,
Yes.
like immediately. That's why you say you call the person the next day. You apologize it for immediately, right away, and move on from
You're
it.
cleansing it out right away.
Yeah.
And
But
so, Joe, this is how Ho'oponopono works too.
right. The same thing. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you.
You're
You
right.
know, I
But you're
love
doing
you.
it to yourself and to the divine instead of the person.
Right. And in your mind, you can do it to the person.
Yes. Right.
Right.
Correct. It's still okay to apologize to someone if you're really in the wrong and you got caught in your emotions or something to that effect. But you know, I'm trying to think. I can't even recall the last time I apologized to someone because once you reach a certain level of mindfulness,
You don't do that anymore.
you don't make those mistakes really anymore.
Right.
You know?
But we're not all on that level. You know, a lot
Yeah,
of our
like
listeners are still
a few
struggling with
weeks
this stuff.
ago, I told someone that their life was a mess
Right.
because that's what it looked like to me. That was my assessment. Your life's a mess. And they got mad at me.
Right.
I didn't apologize.
Right.
Like, your
Well,
feelings are your problem. Like,
right. Well, that's
I
their
gave you
guilt.
my assessment. I'm not calling you out of your name.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not aggressively attacking you. I'm just telling you from my viewpoint, your life is a mess. Take it how you want.
Yeah. Right. And maybe it'll motivate you to change a little. But I think deep down, when you
Or
say
they'll just
things,
stay offended. Either one.
they'll just stay offended. Then they'll need to use mindfulness to clear their mind. Um, but yeah, most definitely. So those two, it's really just a question of letting it go. And sometimes it does take a matter of actually confronting the person, or not confronting them, but speaking to them. And you know, it's a funny thing when you actually do sit down and talk to somebody with an apology, right? Somebody you may have done something 2 years ago. You really are doing Ho'oponopono with them, because the
Yeah.
first thing you say is, I'm sorry, please forgive me, right?
Yeah.
And then if they say yes, right, they say, okay, then what do you say? Thank you. And usually end with a hug, right? And say, I
Yeah.
love you, bro. You know, if it's a
Yeah.
family member, right? So you really are kind of doing it just on an in-person way, you know, and I think we spoke about this in another episode, that is basically those four are basically the teachings of a lot of philosophies, a lot of religions boiled down into a simple formula.
Yeah.
You know, forgiveness, gratitude,
Yep.
love, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, everything changed for me when I started practicing HPO,
yeah.
and it's almost like a secret weapon, it's,
I've been using it more myself.
yeah. And a wise person also told me, and this is just piggybacking off of this. This is like 15 years ago. He said, never apologize twice.
Right.
Because when you apologize once, it's okay, gotcha. And you start apologizing more, and you become weak, and
Mm-hmm.
you know,
I agree. And first of all, if you apologize for doing something once, you shouldn't do it again, so you wouldn't have to apologize.
right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's the deal. You got to learn from your mistakes the first time. That's
Yeah.
a real key. So many people keep going, repeating the same mistakes over and over again, hurting the same people. Yeah, how many people do you know? Oh, I'm sorry. Their apology becomes meaningless after a while because they don't mean it.
A lot of
But
people say things they don't mean, and these are typically people who don't practice mindfulness.
right,
They're
right.
just spewing. It's just
Whatever
spewing.
whatever
Yeah,
they
just
feel.
spews. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't think before they do it. But that's why we're trying to hopefully get people on the mindfulness track.
Yeah.
All right. So here's a weird one. This is from Ronald Martin on Facebook. Why are we not allowed to cancel our health insurance if they insist we comply with their protocols?
A great question. The medical monopoly is a pyramid scheme, and insurance is part of it. Insurance pays the medical monopoly. Insurance is like, I always view them kind of like the wise guys in a mafia movie or something. They show up to your office, to your place of business on Main Street, and they say, "Hey, yo, we're gonna protect you. All you gotta do is give us $500 a month." And you're like, "Protect me from what?" And they're
Right.
like, "Hey," and they're kind of, in a way,
Not
saying,
something you never know. Something could have happened to you or your family. Right.
they're kind of saying from us, you just need to pay us.
Yeah. And I think the doctors actually work for the insurance companies if you really boil it down.
Well, insurance is like those wise guys. And so it's like, give us $500 a month just in case. And if I'm not mistaken, it was the Obamacare 10 years ago that made it legal. You have to have insurance in America.
But if we don't have that anymore, Donald Trump took that out. You're no longer mandated
It is
to
out?
have
I
it.
didn't know that.
Yeah, you're not
Okay.
mandated to have it anymore.
I don't know, man. I'll have to look into that.
Well,
It
I
might
think
be,
what this Ronald is talking about, let's say he went to the doctor
yeah,
and they said, we want to put you on chemo.
yeah.
And he said, well, no, I don't want to go on chemo. And I remember a case like this happening right in Connecticut, actually, of a young girl,
Yes.
and she said, no, I want to try and heal it naturally.
Yeah.
And they said, no, you have to do what we say.
Law.
You have to do what the medical says, right?
Law, right?
Yeah. Yes. You remember that case.
Mm-hmm.
So she was forced to comply with what the insurance company and the doctor told her to do.
Yes.
And
Yep.
what I guess this guy's saying is he tried that. He tried to cancel his health insurance, say, well, I don't want to comply with you. I'm just going to cancel. And they wouldn't let him cancel. Which seems like you say a little bit of strong arming
Yep.
techniques there.
Yep.
And the fact that they can get away with this just shows that once you get hooked into the medical monopoly system,
Yep.
you're no longer in charge of your health,
Nope.
you know? And let's say they diagnose you with something and they want to give you a certain treatment, they'll almost try and force you to comply.
And
with,
if you don't comply, then they put it down in their records as the patient is non-compliant,
right,
so they can't get sued.
right, exactly. It's like a big Ponzi scheme, you know, and the doctors are beholden to the insurance companies. So they're required to do certain things, and they have no problem doing it because they're just so used to that system.
Yeah.
You know, and we also know that the drug companies give them kickbacks if they prescribe certain drugs.
Send them on vacation in Jamaica.
Right.
Or they give them speaking engagements.
Absolutely. And sometimes even cash payments.
Come speak at this event, we'll pay you 10 grand.
In the Bahamas.
In the Bahamas.
And we pay for everything. Yeah, absolutely. I remember a couple of times being at the dentist, and in comes this pharmaceutical rep with pizza and, you know, of course, great healthy food, right?
Yeah.
Pizza, but with a whole lunch for these people. Bring you lunch. Look, on us.
Yep.
You know, so that's the way they stroke. And of course, not only this, the doctors who actually work for hospitals, let's say, they're expecting them to bring business in.
Yeah.
You know, so they can keep their doors open. Hey, you got to, you know, perform so many surgeries a month, whatever. You
know what I find so interesting about this process is it's identical to show business.
Yeah, very
the
much.
Radio business, the record labels schmooze the radio stations.
Yep.
In order to get the records played.
Yep.
Yep. It's called payola.
And it is a mild form of it, not a mild form. It is a form of payola.
Yeah.
It is a form of payola. And this is why we had the opioid crisis, because they were getting incentivized to prescribe opioids.
Right.
Crazy the stuff they get away with. So, all right, Kevin, here's one. You're gonna this is from Tiffany on Facebook. This is a long one, but I think it's valuable. For the last few months, I've been criticizing and judging you. But like the scene of the car crash on the road, I just couldn't look away. I've been watching your live streams and videos, and they would just simply annoy me. Last week on your podcast, you explained the poppy tree syndrome. Yes, I remember that. And I realized in that moment that I have it. I realized that I am just cutting you down because you are so confident and I am not. I went to school for health. I got a few certificates, and I just never have taken it as far as you have. The information and knowledge you have is beyond me, and clearly I have been subconsciously hating you. I wanted to write in and say, I'm sorry. Keep doing your thing. That's a really nice comment.
Well,
because it's not just a flattery.
Yeah. Well, I mean, people, like we said, with the big poppy tree syndrome, is people don't like confidence.
Right.
You know?
Unless they have it. And
it throws them off. And they're like, oh, he's arrogant, or he's this, or he's that. But, you know, I've dedicated myself to the human body, just like Einstein or Tesla dedicated themselves to science, or just like Tom Brady or Michael Jordan dedicated themselves to their sport. And so when someone dedicates themselves at that level, the tree grows bigger. So they're the big
their
poppy.
Confidence level grows. Yeah.
The confidence level grows, you know, and then other people don't like that.
Right.
It makes them feel a certain way. It makes them feel insecure. And so what they do is they start criticizing.
Right.
Now, this woman says that she was hating on me, but yet she was still watching.
Yep.
So there was something that was keeping her here, but good on her for having the courage to say something.
Right. She said, I'm sorry. That's the first part of Ho'oponopono. So say you forgive her, and now that's it.
All
There, all is forgiven, and we hope that you continue to follow us and maybe contact Dr. Reese in person through Messenger or through the website. You know, if you have a few health certificates, maybe you got some things in common you could talk about, you
and
know?
Joe, I think that, you know, she's just maybe a little ticked off at herself that
Right.
she didn't put the work in that she wanted to do. And then someone like me comes along who has, and it's just one of those things. But you know, she can put the work in if she wants, you know.
There's always time to change it. She still has the certificates.
But the stuff that I'm saying, as you know, it triggers some people.
Mhm.
The limited beliefs can block the celebration of my discovery, which is what we nickname the Reese reversal system, which is putting the
Right.
3 macro methods together and
Right.
letting the body heal exponentially fast. And people just are taken back by this. They're just like, no, it's not possible. My doctor would have told me, or I already went to 10 chiropractors. And then there's people, Joe, that we get a lot because we run Facebook ads,
Right.
and a lot of them leave comments underneath. This is a scam. This is a this. They never read the book. They never seen my videos, nothing. They're just like, this is another scam artist. And these people are stuck in their limited beliefs
Right.
that they can't heal.
Yes.
So they're giving up. They've given up, and they're saying, oh, my psoriasis is permanent. My back pain is permanent. My
Right.
migraines, no one can get rid of them, you know, no way. And
That's because their doctor told them that.
yeah, and they're stuck in this limited belief system that's going to keep them with their health burden until they finally break out. And so my job is to come be a contrarian and come break those limited beliefs. I'm the destroyer. I'm here to, you know.
Right. Right.
That's why
Right.
I tell my team, like, you guys take the clients. Let the coaches take the clients. My job is to break these limited beliefs of
Right.
all these people, because we know the program works. We know it all
Yeah.
works. So it's a free throw to us with the eyes closed,
Right.
you know. But the hardest part is breaking the beliefs and getting them to the doorstep
Right.
so
Right.
that we can take that free throw, which is quite easy.
Yeah. No, very true. And I think what triggers people is the fact that they don't have it themselves, you know, and that they're lacking confidence. And when they see it in somebody else, it's like almost jealousy. They wish they had that, you know. And because so many people in today's world are kind of confused between the difference between confidence and arrogance, right?
Yeah.
And arrogance to me is a whole different thing.
I don't even know what arrogance is. I mean, I've been called arrogant. I don't even really know what it is.
Arrogance is where you kind of think you're better than others because of your knowledge, because of what you know,
Okay,
because of your
so
confidence, where you put yourself above others and you let them know it. That's how they can tell you're arrogant. I mean, you could think you're better than others and be quiet about it, but
it's like
but
a Ric Flair old school wrestling promo.
yes, it's confidence taken to the extreme level. And the other thing I wanted to mention is, do you think confidence and humility can exist in the same person?
I,
Are they? I believe so. But some people think, oh, he's not humble. You know what I mean? You have to be more humble because they think humble means something like being small and crawling in the background or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I know that I don't have an interest in being humble. I feel that human beings are actors.
Mhm.
And so it's not about what you're seeing on the stage. It's about what's happening backstage.
Right.
Backstage meaning your inner life. So I could act humble, but in my head be like, I'm way better than this dude.
Right.
So
Well, I think humility and gratitude go together. In other words, you can be humble on the inside, like, thank you so much. I'm very humbled by what's been happening to me. Do you know what I mean? Like, you go out there, you get a big success, you're out there speaking, your book is selling, you have a lot of confidence, but inwardly you're like, to the source, to the higher power, whatever you want to call it, thank you. You know what I mean? I'm humbled by this experience. I never thought it would happen. I think humility is more something inside, whereas not only confidence is something you do have inside, but it's also something you express outwardly. Like, your humility can be a personal experience that you don't need to express to the world. It has a lot to do with gratitude and
yeah, I think
appreciating what you've been given and what you have.
absolutely. Absolutely. And also keep in mind, we're just playing with words.
Yeah.
Really. We're just, putting definitions on things. But going back to that whole arrogant thing, I will say that there is a such thing as superiority and inferiority. And look no further than sports.
Mhm.
Look no further than this woman who just commented. She's inferior to me.
In her mind.
No, in both of our minds. Because I put in the work and she didn't.
Right. Right.
So there's a difference between Michael Jordan and John Sally.
Right. Right. There,
So,
like we said, there's A students and C students.
right, exactly. And so this is why I like the poppy tree syndrome. It fully defines it, because you're looking at the big tree and you're like, I don't like that. I need to chop it down. So the key, one of the goals in your life is to become superior, which means you're putting in work and you're improving yourself. But part of that improvement is not thinking that you're overall better than the other people.
Right. I'm better at this, but maybe not at something else, or we're all humans, basically what you're saying.
I think the key word is going to be compassion,
Right.
because I'm around people that are inferior to me all the time. And I can either get stuck in my pride and go to that arrogant place, or I can have compassion that they're not programmed properly to put in the work to become better. So it's kind of like a 5-year-old child who is vulnerable.
Right.
And so I think compassion is the proper word here, instead of humility. Or maybe they're, they cross over a little bit.
Compassion for others. Like I said, humility is something
But don't get it confused. I am superior.
However you want to put it. I just say I'm on a different level. I
Right.
operate on a different vibration.
Yeah, whatever.
I don't give it a value. So
whatever term you want to use.
Right.
And I may not be superior in another topic.
Right.
If we're talking about mechanics of cars, okay, I know how to change a tire, but that's about it. Like, I don't know how to do an oil change. If you tell me the radiator's messed up, I really don't know what to do.
Right.
So my dad, who's a tradesman, is superior to me in the mechanics of cars.
Right.
You see?
Right. Yeah,
so
that's what I was saying. You could
we're
be superior.
all superior or inferior in certain things.
Right.
But the key is having compassion for the person around you that's inferior in that topic.
Right.
It's almost like, it's like that old story with the two animals that are, remind me that they're two animals and they're preparing for extra food. What's it, like the rabbit and the squirrel or
Oh,
something?
yeah. The squirrel, and then I think it is the rabbit. The rabbit's always the bad guy in the story, right? The squirrels away all the nuts during the summer, and he's going, "Why? There's plenty of nuts. Let's just eat them." You know what I
Right.
mean? And then, but the rabbit forgot winter was coming, and then when winter came,
Right.
there were no more nuts on the trees. He had nothing to eat. And the squirrel's like, I got plenty of nuts because I saved up and I was thinking ahead. Right.
Right. And so it's like the squirrel is superior, but it needs to have compassion for the rabbit, that when it hits the fan and they don't have food, it's like, man, like, I feel bad for this animal because they didn't prepare like I did. Or they can be like, "Psh, you're an idiot. Duh, I told you." And so
Right.
that would be arrogant, right?
Right.
You see, so there's the choice.
There's a difference. Yeah. Compassion would be invite him in for a meal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly right. Even though you don't say, hey, I saved the nuts and you did. And
But when it comes to health, I feel I am superior. And the word expert comes from the root experience.
Right. Just like confidence comes in from confide, which means you can confide in yourself, which means you trust yourself.
Yeah.
That's really what confidence is you trust yourself.
That's right.
You know what I mean? That's really what it comes down to.
And this is a problem amongst men in this new society, is there's not enough leaders.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of weak men out there playing video games and,
right.
Being vegan or whatever,
Yeah, doing a different gender, switching genders, all that lovely stuff.
There's not enough leaders.
No, you're right. Shout out to our friend Kevin Sabo for trying to help the younger men.
And so we need to have more leaders, and people are attracted to leaders. That's why people are attracted to me, because
you're an alpha.
A leader is someone where you're like, oh, that person's capable.
Right.
Not everyone's capable.
I trust them. And they trust you because you trust yourself. See, correct. That's where confidence comes in.
That's correct.
Yeah. The only reason they trust you is because you trust yourself, and it shows.
They also trust Charlie Manson.
Because he trusted himself.
Right.
Exactly.
All cult leaders, they're confident.
Yeah.
Not that I'm a cult leader, but I could be.
And arrogance, again, Donald Trump was confident, but he was arrogant as well. So there's your perfect example. Right.
That is a good example. Yeah.
All right. So here we go. We got a couple more here. Lena on Facebook responding why media is editing Kevin. Oh, the interview you did. It's the monopoly. Keep doing what you do. The brain being a computer is brilliant, among other things.
Yes. The mind is an onboard computer. I hope that analogy helps a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, we're kind of like little AIs running around on this world because we're easily programmed, and when you wake up from the programming, that's when things changed. Okay.
I got a comment here that just came in.
Oh, let's hear it.
It is from Rosa. I think she left a comment before too. She says, I'm so happy with my new changes. I haven't felt as good as I do now. My knees feel young again. I'm enjoying my nutrients. Okay. Nice.
And this is just from the 90. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. All right. Yes, this is Rosa. Rosa is the next one, actually. And she says the same thing. I'm so happy I found you. You should be making millions from your information and knowledge. Your mouth to God's ears, please. And you never know. It's not always
Maybe I will be making millions,
Yeah,
Who knows?
as long as you reach enough people. Okay, here's
That's really what it's about, Joe, right? Like
it,
you can have the best knowledge, the best program, the best this, the best that. But if it doesn't reach enough people, then it just
it
kind of
doesn't.
dwindles,
Yeah, and that's a shame. But luckily these days we do have a lot more methods and ways to reach large number of people. Whereas, back in the day, even when we started, you pretty much had to do it on the ground floor. You wanted to get people to reach you. You had to take out ads in newspapers. You had to pass out flyers out on the street. You had to put up posters,
Guerrilla marketing, right?
guerrilla marketing, or even back in the day, telemarketing, where you would just sit on the phone and call people.
Yeah.
So we're lucky these days where we have the technology where through email, through social media, through other channels that you can reach a lot of people with your information. So, that's something. And I think it's really improved a lot of our lives.
It takes time. We have Taylor on the team. She's on the band. I call it the band.
Right.
And, she's helping us. Like we just started going harder with TikTok this week.
I noticed that.
We had a big one get like 1,200 views yesterday, and
that's pretty good.
And she likes it when she's like, do that. Every time someone gets triggered, she's like, okay, do that again. I'm gonna become like a dancing monkey, like go trigger someone.
Well, look, that's part of it.
I think
right?
people are gonna get triggered anyway, because what I'm saying is very contrarian. So I've already accepted that 50% are gonna hate it and 50% are gonna say yay. So
right.
It is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. Now, are you able to share your Instagram videos on TikTok, or they have to be organically created through the app? Because I know you can share TikTok videos on Facebook and other platforms.
Joe, I have no idea.
She does it.
I just make the content and
She
send
posts
it.
Okay.
Because what she calls chops and screws it. So she adds the song and the graphics and the this and the that, and all I do is point a camera and talk.
Very cool. Well, welcome to the team, Taylor. And here's, matter of fact, here's our last question. It comes from Taylor on Instagram. I don't know if it's her, but what if somebody's had a previous surgery because of an accident and years later they're in pain?
Oh, well, when we have a surgery, a lot of times we end up with compensations.
Right.
So we still have to go after that root cause of muscle dysfunction. And so we would run a P-ray, see what's going on with the body, and then we would start doing postural therapy to fix that. The surgery isn't the fix.
No, it's a temporary fix.
The root cause is still there. If you get a hip replacement, the root cause that created that hip replacement is still there.
Well, now this was because of an accident. So she could have had a car accident. This could have been some kind of trauma, not something that she necessarily brought on herself. Right. So, look, a lot of it depends on the surgeon and how good of a job they do.
But even if it's a car accident, Joe, or a fall, you fall down the stairs, it's the body is still going to compensate.
Oh, absolutely, for the work that they did.
So we have to reverse that at some point.
Right. And she's not specific of what kind of surgery she had. So, I don't know whether it was a broken limb or maybe a head injury, because of an accident. I'm assuming it was a fall or a car accident or something like that. Yeah. But what you're basically saying is when you do have surgery, you are disturbing the natural makeup of your bones or whatever.
Yeah.
And your body will compensate for that.
Right.
And sometimes that compensation can cause pain.
And after surgery, they typically send you to physical therapy.
Right.
But physical therapy only does so much.
Yeah, because they only work on that one part. So if you hurt your knee, even though really what the reason your knee is, you had to get surgery is, a whole nother reason, they're just going to work on your knee to make sure that joint works again.
Right.
And that's about it.
Right.
They don't care if you're walking, if you have slumped shoulders, or if you're, whatever the postural condition is that causes bad knees. They don't care about that. They just want to make sure that the knee joint works again. Okay, it's moving. You can stand on it. You're done. See you later.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what, that's what they do with physical therapy. It only lasts, 6 weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not concerned with the root cause. They're just concerned on making sure that whatever they did works, So, well, very good. Well, I have one last question.
And I have a question that just came through the chat.
All right, let's do that one then.
Can collagen be rebuilt? I heard it can't, but I'm thinking with the right nutrition and good vitamins, it can be, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I can. Absolutely. Yeah. Collagen, it makes up your connective tissue, and we give collagen in our baseline protocol to all our 120-day.
Right. Now, are there
specific... She might be referring to cartilage.
Oh, yeah, cartilage. And that we've spoken about this in another episode. That also can be rebuilt.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have a testimonial on peaceoverpain.com that shows x-rays of cartilage growing back in the knees. Because you need to make the space.
Right.
So, all joints are two bones coming together
with cartilage in the middle.
Right. So we need to create the space so that it has room to regenerate.
To grow back, yeah. But it will regenerate, but it can't regenerate if they're like this, because it's got nowhere to grow. Yeah. No, absolutely makes sense. And the only other thing I was going to say is, adding collagen is kind of, to me, like adding protein. Like your body already makes collagen.
Yeah.
So what you really got to do is add the nutrients that will.
Collagen makes up your connective tissue.
Right.
So adding collagen will give you another 20 grams of protein in your drink too.
Right. Okay.
So it's two birds, one stone.
Yeah. Very, very good. Well, Kevin, it looks like we're coming up to the end of the episode.
All right.
Any final words you want to say to our listeners?
I'll see you December 10th for those that are local. 304 Main Street, Farmington, Connecticut. That's also where the clinic is located. I haven't really promoted it yet, but that's what I'm telling you here first. That's where it's going to be. And so if you want to get some live postural therapy and all that good stuff, we're there.
What time does it start?
December 10th, 2 p.m.
2 p.m. And they can find out more info at peaceoverpain.com.
Probably.
Yeah. And I want to remind people, or in the Facebook group, to like, share, subscribe. Dr. Reese's book is available on Amazon, also on peaceoverpain.com, but you can get yourself a free copy if you just join our Facebook group, and you can find that in the Peace Over Pain Clinic. You can search for it. Yep. And again, you can find us on YouTube and Dr. Reese on all social media. Follow him at Dr. Reese or the at Peace Over Pain Clinic if you want to get triggered. And now I guess TikTok. And now TikTok. So, all right. Listeners, Kevin, we'll see you all next week. Thanks for a great show. Remember to send in your questions if you want to have them answered next week by Dr. Reese. Take care, everyone.
Thanks for watching the Peace Over Pain podcast live inside our clinic's Facebook group. Be sure to submit a question or comment for next week's show at peaceoverpain.com. Also, perform some goodwill and tell a friend in pain that you found their solution. Refer them to the Peace Over Pain podcast and the Peace Over Pain book and help them move closer to their miracle.